Malta, and the weather's lovely. It's spring, but it's been one health issue after the other. First, it was unwashed kale and 4 days of lying low and feeling sick and not being able to eat. And then I thought I sprained my ankle, so that was a week of sitting down with my foot up wherever I went, which was only a 5-minute radius in any direction. And around this time, Julian and his dad began thinking about getting a dog. He sent me a photo of a particular dog from a shelter. It was quite cute. It occurred to me I might be useful in coming up with some dog names. The dog's given name was Buccinelli, Booch for short. In Maltese it means stocky. I sent over a few possibilities. One was Degas, because Julian's an accomplished painter. Pasquale, can't you see it? Was the other one. George Henry, for that sober English smoking dog, because, Julian smokes a pipe. And also my favorite, Macron. It just is like the sickest name for a dog. Julian, actually, I thought he was going to be persuadable or amenable to some degree, because he kept saying no every time I said, well, how about Macron? And I didn't realize he actually just didn't want a French dog. That animosity with the French dating back to the 100 Years' War in the 1300s. Who knew? My name is Dottore Isabella Salvini, and I have been asked to give my opinion quietly and aside without intruding on the problems of Annalisa or on Julian, the two people involved in the dog naming project. Then there was an upset because the next day the agency got in touch with Julian and said that Pasquale would be too big for his dad. His dad was 98, and there was a chance he would be knocked over by the dog. So it was actually back to square one, or so I thought, because next thing you know, Julian is sending me photos of the Maltese hunting dog breed. They had another dog in mind for Julian and his dad, and the Maltese hunting dog is actually the smallest breed in the world. In 2015, they found that there were only 120 of these dogs. And it's supposedly a quiet, happy, and waggy dog, whatever that means. I suppose it means the dog wags its tail a lot. So I was just setting out to come up with my list of names when I got another email from Julian saying that they were moving forward. It's like these dog people. There's no pause, there's no reflection.
The agency was moving quickly, and we didn't want to lose this dog, so we moved forward.
It was going to take me time to shift and come to terms with the fact that it was now a Maltese hunting dog. But I also knew that as Julian and his dad were already shopping for dog supplies, the window of opportunity to name the dog was going to shrink very quickly.
It had floppy ears and was a waggy dog.
So I sent out a few samplers. De Gaulle, I could not let go of the French vibe yet. Cheese Puff and Cheesy, my personal favorite. Julian was unfazed or non-committal. I was the one who was unfazed with this rejection. And you can't expect success right away. It's got to be, a long-term effort. The dog's name was Bello, and it was rust-colored. And Julian didn't like the name Bello, but he did want to call the dog something like Rusty in honor of its rust color. And I'm like, oh, not Rusty. It's like imagination, let's use it. You can't get down with setbacks, just have to keep moving forward. I suggested Scampi. It was a play on the pub dish that was very popular when I was in high school in England, shrimp scampi. It is a play on the fact that scampo in Italian is an escapee from the prison system. Also, young scamp, the dog was probably pretty impish. I thought also of a few orange names. I knew Julian, being color oriented, he would really want a name that was orange. Goldfish, Goldie. What else did I have? Good boy. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? How many times people called their dog Good Boy more than any other name. Julian threw back Whiskey, and I threw back Whiskey Pete. I don't know why I just couldn't leave a single suggestion untouched without me going in and shifting everything around, but I couldn't. In my professional opinion, Annalisa's desire to name the dog of Julian is an unexpressed wish for her own dog. I don't want a dog. That's not what this thing is about. I don't want a dog. I'm not looking for a friend. I see many cases like this in a year. Many people are in denial when it comes to admitting they want a pet. They think it is an emotional, a sentimental thing, and not like if they consider themselves a smart, they don't want to admit they have these needs for affection, especially not affection from an animal. Her case was almost a class book. A textbook. Her case was a textbook case, both in the longing for a pet and the denial of this fact. This is a simplistic reading on the subject, like so many other simplistic readings to which I've been subjected over the years. No.
I think Annalisa secretly wants a dog, but she just doesn't want to admit it.
I don't want a dog, and I don't need it. And that's, no matter what anybody says, that's it.
I just want to help.
I know dog lovers mean well when they say that you would benefit from a dog, but no, I don't want a dog's affection. I want it from a human.
You know, I think it would be good for her.
And then people usually, shove back, well, a dog's affection is unconditional. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's not discerning. The affection I want has to come from a person who knows me well.
Dogs know us. They're very affectionate. It's a personal affection.
A dog only cares if it gets food and if it has company. It's a simple bond.
Dogs aren't complicated. They just want to love you and have you love them. Soon they become totally devoted to you.
People want quick answers so that they can categorize you and get on with things and not be bothered with the uncomfortable idea that you might be different from them. It's easier to think that everyone is like us. That way we can just ignore most of what they're talking about and focus on ourselves. I was a little concerned that I was so determined to name this dog. Every time I thought of a new name, I felt compelled to send it to Julian, and he humored me, which was nice.
I was getting loads of suggestions from Annalisa. I sent her a list of names. Some of them I liked. Coco, Charlie, Joey, Lucky, Patch, Shelly, Pebbles, Toffee. It goes on and on.
I did realize Julian did not need my help in naming the dog. That said, I did reply with a list of my own. Let's see what she suggested, if there is anything good in her suggestions. Well, whether Julian likes it or not, these French names, this dog clearly would be good for de Gaulle. He looks like a statesman, a politician. And she cannot go wrong with Constable, one of the greatest English artists. Yes, you cannot get more English than Constable. I had some good English names. Macbeth. I told him it would be a bit weird at first, but he'd get used to it. Horace, son of British Prime Minister Robert Walpole. Dizzy, nickname for another Prime Minister from the 19th century, Benjamin Disraeli. And the last one was, what was it? Gov, for that good old-fashioned London vibe. And summing it up, the main takeaway is that I seemed to have a gift for pet naming. Sometimes you just discover your gifts accidentally. Just as I was gathering momentum, I get an email from Julian with a photo and the name Rusty beside it. I was not happy.
Look at that dog. It's a rust color.
I shot back with Smith, with a P, like the P.G. Woodhouse character. Julian wrote back, nothing. It's like he thought they were inferior names.
Rusty just felt right. Dad agreed.
Come on, It was not original.
Plus, he knows it's his name.
I don't think Annalisa understands what pet naming is about. It's not about originality. It's about the deeper connection between the name and the dog and the owner. It completes a healing that the person instinctively knows that they need.
Dad and I wanted a dog. The pitter-patter of little feet, someone to greet us when we came home. It's not a form of therapy for us.
Rusty, who knows where this comes from, but maybe a childhood television series. I don't know.
It's a rust color.
Rusty is a favorite name of both children and adults. It says adventure, but very safely, very quiet adventure. No bungee jumping. It makes a perfect sense to me that Julian and his father would want this name, a friendly name. The dog is a friendly dog, and so a friendly name for a friendly dog. Annalisa does not understand this way of selecting the name. But she needs to learn. I was stuck, I admit it.
She might be a bit stubborn, if you want my opinion.
In the final analysis, I don't care what the dog's called. And this is not a matter of a right and a wrong. It is a question of the taste and the emotional connection. But I think underneath it all, she's upset that Julian did not like one of her names. I know she spent a lot of time thinking about this and putting her neck out on the line. And to have a big rejection, could not have been easy for her. There'll be other dogs. I think this was a case that Annalisa was a bit bored. She had a sprained ankle and she could not walk, and so it was also difficult to work. And being such a creative person, she must have felt some frustration, and naming the dog was a way to be very creative without actually doing much work.
I humored Annalisa because she sprained her ankle. It wasn't working.
This could have ended in a bad way for her, but maybe she can bounce back and recover and not be offended that the dog will be known forever as Rusty. There'll be other dogs. And I hope it will end well for her and, of course, for Julian. But Julian's already happy with Rusty. After I accepted defeat, only because I had to, I decided to turn it into a victory by making a film about all this called Dog Tales. Who knows? It could become my niche.
I think it all ended well, and I'm still convinced she would like a dog.
Eventually, I came up with a name that I just loved. Pastrami. Whenever I saw Julian, I referred to the dog and called the dog by that name. And he seemed to like it. Until the day he didn't. But that's a tale for another film.